ESPN's Mel Kiper and Field Yates came out with a 3-round mock draft where they alternated picks. So I want to see what selections they made for the Browns on today's Cleveland Browns report. So let's jump into it by checking out what they started off with at pick number 1, which is no surprise, Cam Ward to the Titans. Then at pick number 2, it is Travis Hunter, the Colorado receiver / corner. This name continues to be mocked to the Browns, so I thought we'd do a little bit of a deep dive on Hunter because I know some of you who have been watching our coverage for a while know a lot of this, but I know other people are just starting to rev up their pre-draft engine. So Hunter, if you don't know, has an incredible background and story. He was the number 1 recruit in the entire 2022 class, went to Jackson State following Deion Sanders, then going to Colorado, where he had a tremendous 2024 season with numerous accolades, including the Heisman Trophy. But outside of all those great prestigious awards, there is a tremendous player in Travis Hunter. So some complimentary sandwich approach here as we break it down as a more profile perspective. So the pro I've got for him to start things off with is he's a generational athlete, which, listen, every single NFL draft, everyone's twitchy, everyone can jump out of the gym, everyone's fast, everyone's strong, everyone's a great athlete, yada, yada, yada. Can I put him in a separate tier? Because he is the athlete of all athletes. The stamina in which he has to go both ways is something that's truly never been charted before. So while there are lots of great athletes in this draft, he is in his own tier of athleticism, which is what makes him so appealing for teams towards the top of the draft. Now, the con is, this is nitpicky, but you got to be fair. He's a little bit on the smaller weight and play strength size, right? Sub 190 pounds. In college, you can kind of get away with that, but when you get to the NFL, the corners are a bit stronger and bigger than in the Big 12, so they could push Hunter around a little bit, but his athleticism has his play strength has never been a problem because of his athleticism, so I don't expect that to be a major problem with his game. But if we're being nitpicky, that would be something I would point to. Now, when you look at his numbers and production over his receiving and defending career at Colorado and Jackson State, you can make good arguments for both sides of the coin here, whether it's offense or defense. I personally lean more towards defense, but offensively, if you put up 1,200 yards and 15 touchdowns, it's hard to overlook that. So there's a lot to like here, and we know how Hunter is so unique and just a pure unicorn of a prospect that we really have never seen before to the likes of what he was able to accomplish last year. The flaw that I've got, though, and this is what I want to get past, and I am cautiously excited for Travis Hunter, but I wonder if it's just a little too good to be true. Can he really play both ways at the NFL? If the answer is yes, then he's going to be an awesome player for a long time and a great draft pick. If the answer turns out to be no, that's where I'm a little bit skeptical and where I might lean more towards Abdul Carter for playing it safe when Abdul Carter is not like some safe pick. Like, he's going to be a great player too. I'm not trying to downplay his abilities, but if Hunter just ends up being a receiver or a corner and he doesn't dabble much on the other side of the ball, is it worth the number 2 overall pick? Hunter said just today that he does not want to go somewhere that does not let him play both sides. So hopefully wherever he ends up, and if it's in Cleveland, they've got a great plan in place to utilize him on offense and defense. And hopefully that plan is achievable and he does not burn himself out or he does not sustain a bunch of injuries, because the risk of injury for him doubles when he's always on the field. Those are fair concerns to have. But if someone from the future comes and tells me, oh, Hunter's going to play both ways and at a high level on both ends of the football, then absolutely you don't think twice about it. And if the Browns have, come to peace with that is something that they can accomplish, then lock it in. But if they plan to just go with a wide receiver approach only, I think that might be something we look back at and go, yeah, good player, not quite number 2 overall good if he was only going to play receiver. And as a wide receiver, he's not number 2 overall good receiver. So, with that being said, I know I'm kind of being a little bit of a hater right now, but these are fair concerns, I think, to have, and reasonable ones as well. But we're going to be live for day 1, day 2 of the NFL draft. So make sure you are hanging out with us here at the Cleveland Browns Report. Join our free live stream and live coverage of the 2025 NFL Draft. Moving on, let's fast forward through the rest of round number 1. Abdul Carter goes the very next pick to the Giants. We see Mason Graham and Ashton Genty, 2 candidates for the Browns if they were to trade back from number 2, which does not seem super likely at this stage. Shedeur Sanders goes to the Saints at number 9, so if you were hoping for a trade back into round 1 for him, at 9, that's just way too early in my estimation. Here's the rest of 1 through 12, though. None of these guys are jumping out to me as big-time candidates for the Browns, no matter where they pick in round 1. Will Johnson, Colston Loveland, pair of Michigan Wolverines going 13 and 14. I like Mike Green and Jahdae Barron, but they're just not really number 2 overall type prospect viewed players. Walter Nolan, I think, is going to be a really fun pick, and it'll be a bummer to have to root against him at Cincinnati because I think he's going to be a really good player at the next level. On to the later stages of round number 1. Derek Harmon, good defensive tackle for the Oregon Ducks after some time in East Lansing, going to the Steelers. Emeka Egbuka going across the country and will play under Jim Harbaugh, so that'll be a little bit strange, but oh well. And to round out round number 1, we've got a couple of defenders off the board here, and then at pick 29, we actually have to interrupt this because we have a trade coming in. And the Browns are looking to acquire a second first-round draft pick, and they jump up from 33 to 29 with the Washington Commanders in this mock trade cooked up by Yates and Kiper. And with pick 29, along with they gain a 4th-rounder for their 3rd-round pick, they go with Jaxson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. So here is the quarterback of the future. If you take a quarterback in round 1, the expectation should be this guy can be a starter for us for 5+ seasons, right? A second contract type player, someone we think could really be here long term. So we're going to talk all about Jaxson Dart in just a brief moment, but I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Mando. Spring is in the air. The weather is warming up. I love when the weather warms up going on longer walks with my dog in the morning, but I don't want to get to work then smelling all sweaty and with bad BO. And with Mando, we can help kick that odor to the curb. So, Mando is a whole body deodorant. It is safe to use anywhere on your body. Your pits, your thighs, your folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, feet, you name it. Now, it was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated. If you are an outdoorsy person, you can get an awesome deal right now by getting the starter pack with our discount code CHAT at shopmando.com. I put that link in the comments and description of today's video. All products are baking soda free, and so they've got great nutrition kind of facts behind it if that's something of value to you. You can choose from a variety of fresh scents like bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code CHAT. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code CHAT at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. My biggest request, though, is support our show and tell them we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Back to Jaxson Dart, who was the pick at 29 after a Browns-Commanders trade. So a little bit of background on the Ole Miss Rebel. He was a big-time recruit kind of coming out of Utah, where he is from, went to USC, ends up having to transfer to Ole Miss because after ended up having to transfer to Ole Miss after Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams arrived on scene. So then he begins to play under Lane Kiffin, where he was a 3-year starter. He holds numerous records, passing yards, total yards, even wins, for crying out loud. And his teammates have described him as one of the most competitive players. And a little anecdote that can speak to that: the high school he was supposed to go to did not allow freshmen to play at the varsity level. So he went to a different high school where he started as a true freshman in high school at quarterback for the varsity team. So talk about wanting to just do everything you can to get on the field as quickly as possible. And that led to him transferring to Ole Miss, where he was a day one starter for the Rebels. Now, in his 2024 season, he put up 4,200 yards, 69% completion, 495 rushing yards. He's got better mobility than I think the eye would indicate, if you know what I mean. 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. So when does the other shoe drop when it comes to Jaxson Dart? Here's my concern. When looking at Jaxson Dart's resume and profile and highlight reel, there's a lot to like here. But the con for me is a big one. It's the post-snap decision-making. He played in a little bit of a Mickey Mouse offense for Lane Kiffin. And he was never asked to make several reads or to break down defensive looks thrown his way. And the decision-making at times last year, cough, cough, the Florida game with a playoff spot on the line, and he throws back-to-back interceptions after the first one was waved off due to a penalty, was a moment where I remember watching it and thinking, can't draft him. Like, can't draft him to be your franchise quarterback if that's the expectation. Which round one, that should be the expectation. That was a while ago, and the pre-draft process tends to erase some bad specific moments from games, and we end up just looking at bullet points of player breakdowns and just wanting to look at everything half glass full. But the decision-making at times was awful, to be brutally honest with you guys here. And that, to me, was way too big of a red flag for me to forget. So I know some people are very high on Dart. I think Jaxson Dart is going to be a fun backup quarterback that's going to start a good amount in the NFL, but will never be looked at as a team's true week one starter year after year. And I know that's a negative thing, and you're only supposed to be positive during pre-draft, and you're not supposed to be a hater, but if I just try and paint every single player out as this Hall of Famer, this time next year, none of you guys are going to believe me when I am upbeat about a player. So there are some pros to his game. He's got some aggressiveness. Like, he likes throwing the ball downfield. He led the country in yards per attempt at 10.8. He also led the country in 10-plus yard throws with over 70. He's got good arm strength. He can, maneuver around the pocket a little bit, hold on to the ball for a little bit too long at times. So he was in a heavy play action, like RPO style offense. And I don't want to say that's I did call it a Mickey Mouse offense, but I don't want to say you can't graduate from that and have success at the next level. But I think Dart, wherever he ends up, should sit for a full season. I don't think he is ready to get tossed out there into an NFL pro-style offense where you have to do so much before you even get to before you even say hike, right? From the delivery in the snap in the huddle to reading the defense at the line of scrimmage. I think he would drown if he was tossed out there early in 2025 on any team. So if he does end up in Cleveland, I think it's in everyone's best interest for Joe Flacco and or Kenny Pickett to start almost, if not all, of 2025, which is never fun because the rookie quarterback always brings a little bit of optimism and hope for the future. But I think this is a great sit and develop candidate. Now, the other quarterback that's been tossed out there a bunch is Jalen Milroe, who we'll look at just a little bit and see where he ends up in this mock draft. But if you had to pick one, who would you go with? I'd go with Jaxson Dart, but I don't like either one. So if I have to pick one, I guess I go Dart, but I'm not going to vouch for either guy. Moving on, rest of round one, and then we'll look at rounds 2 and 3 for the Browns here. I'll just kind of call out some names that could have some interest for Cleveland. Next up at the beginning of round 2, Tyler Shuck. I don't think he's that great. Some people do. I don't see it. Moving on here a little bit. I wish the Browns expressed more interest in taking a running back. I love Travion Henderson to just stay in the Buckeye State and go up to Cleveland. That could be a really fun pick. Some other names to keep an eye on here: tight end Elijah Arroyo, David Njoku's kind of getting up there in the age column and has had some injuries as of late. So why not go with a new Miami tight end? Benjamin Morrison, he's got some injury red flags, hip injury last year, but he was outstanding in 2023. Another name to keep an eye on as we move along a little bit here. No one in this grouping, although the Arizona guard I think is going to be highly touted and pursued. Who else? Quinshon Judkins, the other Ohio State back. I could see him and Henderson being round 2 snags because neither one was able to get, fully off the leash last year working in a tandem. But in the NFL, they could get much more opportunities to turn out yards and touchdowns. So we move along here. No round 2 pick after trading up for Dart. So now we make our way towards round 3. But one other name I'll toss out there, Kevin Winston, the Penn State tight end. Injured last year. So good, though, before that. Safety, for Penn State. And I think he is a really good prospect that some team is going to really like having on their roster. Now we move on to round number 3. There's the Browns' 67th overall pick to the Commanders, part of that trade up. But moving on because they still have the 3rd round pick they got from the Buffalo Bills. Andrew Makuba, I think, is a really fun, versatile DB out of Texas. That could be a good pick for someone. Alfred Collins, although I don't think they're going to go defensive tackle. Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee scored a lot of touchdowns last year from all over the field. He's going to be a fun 3rd round pick for some team. Moving on here, no one here gravitating towards me all that much. Let's see who else is out there. No one here. Will Howard at 90, to the Rams. That could be someone that Browns fans gravitate towards in day 3. But at pick 94, the Browns are finally back on the clock. And with this pick, they go with a defensive end out of Louisville. It is Ashton Gillotte. Kind of a fun last name to say. 6'2", 264 pounds. So he's got good strength and weight to his game, but he doesn't have great height or length. So that's a little bit as to why he falls to the 3rd round. He was a 3-year starter for Louisville. However, he had a strong 2023 season, but followed it up with a slightly disappointing 2024 season when his sack total dropped by 6.5. Now, his pressures from 2023 to 2024 actually went up. You could see, well, depending on who you ask. I think PFF has it marked a little bit differently than other places. That's the beauty of college football. But depending on who you ask, like I said, his sacks did go up, his pressures did go up from 2023 to 2024. But nevertheless, he still kept a good pressure rate up. And pressures are very important to Andrew Berry because it may not always result in a sack, but it could result in a quick throwaway, and you go from 2nd and 10 to 3rd and 10. It could result in a poor throw or poor decision that results in a turnover. So there are some really good, valuable outcomes from pressures, even if it's not just a sack. Now, Cleveland's defensive line, I don't think is really itching for another, I would say defensive end, but middle of the draft defensive end. If you're going to go the defensive end because it's Abdul Carter and you can't pass on him, that makes sense. But if you're going to bring in a late round 3 guy just to compete with Isaiah McGuire, Alex Wright, that to me doesn't make sense because you've got good depth. Doesn't mean you can't find a different starter above Okoronkwo like Abdul Carter. But if the goal is, hey, we want to find another rotational piece, why? You've got 2 rotational pieces already in Wright and McGuire, who I think have shown some really good flashes and potential the last 2 to 3 seasons. So I don't really see eye to eye on this selection from a team needs perspective. From a player perspective, sure, you can always talk yourself into a lot of guys. And if you preach best player available and he's there, then you got to stay true to your word. But I'd rather go with, take, for example, Omar Norman Lott. I know that this is my Tennessee bias coming through, but he was the number 1 pass rushing interior defensive lineman last year. That would be an Andrew Berry type pick, would it not? Or Barrett Carter out of Clemson. If there are some long-term JOK concerns and you want to get a new young linebacker, that could be a name to watch for right there. So to wrap it all up here, let's review what the folks in Bristol did for the Browns. Travis Hunter at number 2, Jaxson Dart in a trade up at 29, and then Ashton, Gillotte at the end of round 3. How would you grade this mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F? I'm going to give it a B minus. Travis Hunter carries the weight for why it's not lower. I like the Travis Hunter pick. I'm going to be blindly optimistic that the Browns put him in a good position to be successful at the next level. Not crazy about trading up for Dart. Not really crazy about finding another third-round rotational defensive end in Gillotte. I'd rather go with a player who I think could have a bigger impact on the field at a different position. So that's going to do it for us. I forgot my cards, of course. That's okay. Let's just do a Google. Oh, yeah. Papa T with a quick super thanks here. AKA Papa T, sup boys, checking videos and y'all popped up live. Love it. What are we going to do? Hope Jimmy Haslam doesn't mess this up. MP and Reed keep rocking. Papa T, thank you so much for your support of the channel with this generous super thanks. This kind of reminds me of the story of Jimmy Haslam, though, who, if you don't know this, by the way, no, it's okay. If you don't know the Jimmy Haslam story, when they took Johnny Manziel, apparently a few nights before the draft, a homeless person said, take Manziel, and that was all it took. So we need some hobo in Cleveland to, well, no one's going to have an agreement on who to pick at number 2, but how about just tell them, don't screw it up. That seems pretty motivational to me. All right, I'm just going to Google random card picker. That's my mistake. Which one do you want to go with? Okay, ready? I'm going to click it right now. Ace of Hearts. I'm going to go with the 7 of Clubs. What'd you say? It's Ace of Hearts. It's Ace of Hearts. I'm going to show you my computer.
It doesn't feel as good.
It doesn't, but it's got to count still, right?
It doesn't feel as good.
Ace of Hearts.
That's pretty cool.
That feels a little like Lakers bubble-esque, but banners fly forever. I'm sorry I robbed you of that. Damn. All right. That's going to do it for us on our episode for this morning/early afternoon. We will probably get another one out to you later today if all goes well.